like cylinders that are missing a lid or missing both sides or anything like that. We have to get kind of the basic cylinder here. So this is assuming that all three surfaces are here, right? Three surfaces to the cylinder, the two ends, the two circles, and then the label on the side. If you're trying to find the surface area of that thing, I would start with something that either draw the thing all unfolded, draw a net for the thing, or start by just writing something with words. You have the top and bottom, or you could write the two circles, right? Okay, you could write top and bottom, or you could write two circles or whatever. But you got two circles plus the label, not the labels, the label, right? The label's a rectangle. Two circles plus the rectangle, that's the label. You can work them out separately, or you can do it all in one thing like this. Okay? If I'm going to find the circle first, which maybe I'll do, it's probably a good idea to show what you're doing. Put some words in here so we know what we're doing. What's the area of that circle? What do I need here? I need pi times r squared, right? Circle's pi times r squared. That's the area of this thing. This thing's pi times r squared. If you want to find that area, you need to know the radius. For some of you, it would be a good idea just to make a list of the things you know and the things you need. What is this number? What is this called? What's that called? What's it called? This thing? Well, when the thing is tipped on its side like this, we've got to be careful with what we're calling this, right? It's how high off the ground it is, but it's sideways. So that's actually the diameter, right? I'm going to call this the height, even though it's sideways. The height is the distance in between the two bases, the shapes that are the same, right? So the height, even though the thing's tipped on its side like that, I think it'd be a good idea to make a list of the other things. What would the radius be? If we know that the diameter's 10, what's the radius?
5.
What's the radius? It's 5, right? 5 centimeters. And what's the only other measurement we need to be able to do this? What's the other measurement we need? I know we have one person listening here, but we don't have everybody listening. What's the other measurement we need? We need this, right? We need all the way around there. What's that called? Circumference. We need that. How do I find that? Take the diameter and do what with it? Times it by pi. I'm just going to write down here right now because I don't want to go to my calculator yet. I'm just going to put 10 pi. Does that make sense? Yeah. Can I write that? I'm just saying the circumference is 10 pi. I don't want to write anything more right now. So we got the area of the circle is that. What would the area of two circles be then? Two circles. What would that be? Two circles. Two circles. I forgot the two. What would two circles be? It wouldn't be pi r squared. It would be 2 times pi r squared. This is the area of our two circles, right? 2 times pi r squared. What would the area of the label be, the side? It's a rectangle, right? It's a rectangle, and one direction it looks like this much, right? One direction it's the circumference. The other direction, what is it?
Height.
It's the height, which is 20, okay? The height. If you want, you can write a formula for it before you put any numbers in it. What would the area of the label be? If you have a rectangle that is h times c, you can just write that. You can write c times h. If you look up on the internet or on a formula sheet or anywhere, you'll see a formula for the surface area of a cylinder that looks like this. That says surface area for a cylinder is 2 pi r squared plus c times h. That formula you'll see, if you look up, if you Google formula for surface area of cylinder, you'll see that. The reason being then is, if you want, you can just remember that formula and put the numbers in that you need. All right? If you want, and then you can think, okay, this is the two circles, and that's the label. If you don't want to bother with that formula, you can work out each one separately. All right? You can work out the two circles. Okay, so if you're working on the two circles the way we did over here, circles. Area is, what was it again? Can't see everything here. Our radius is 5 centimeters, so we got pi times 5 centimeters squared, right? Which is pi times 25, which is, what is that? Somebody done that? Should we do it on our calculator here? 25 times pi. Best to use the pi button on your calculator. 78.54 basically. Let's not round it off till the end here, so I'm going to put 78.5398 and keep more decimal places. Centimeters squared. That's one of the circles, right? How do I figure out how much both circles are? Both circles. Okay, equal that area times 2, right? 78.5398 times 2. So that number times 2, 157 point, if we're copying down a few decimal places here, 157.0796 centimeters squared. So we need that number. That's our two circles. We also need the label. The label, the area, you can call this area 1 and area 2 like we were doing before for the other shapes if you want. Or you could put area of circle and area of label. I don't care how you organize it on your page, as long as it's organized and we can follow what you're doing. We need the circumference, which was 10 pi. We need to times that by the height, which was 20. If you want, you could just write, well, we won't do that right now, but this is 200 times whatever pi is, right? 200 times whatever pi is. What's that? 200 times pi. So we got that number, which is roughly equal to 628.3185. Our total surface area then is those two things added together, right? Okay, you can say it's 2 times area 1 plus area 2, or 2 times area of the circle plus area of the label, however you want to organize it. 0.0796 roughly, plus 628.3185. So if I add that number to the first number, 157. So you got roughly 785 for surface area. 785.398. If you're rounding it off, probably, I mean, you don't need necessarily that much accuracy, depending on those measurements up there. Let's say it's roughly 780. If we had to round this off to 2 decimal places, what would that be? 785.40. You could say 0.40, because that's what that would be, right? Or if you're rounding it off to 1, it would be 4. What are the units on this? Surface area, what are the units? If the original measurements were centimeters, this is centimeters squared, right? If you didn't happen to have a calculator, you can still answer this question. Here's how you can answer it if you didn't happen to have a calculator. At this point, you know it says 25 times pi, that's the area of the circle. And this one says 200 times pi. If you don't have a calculator, what you can do is you can just use those numbers instead of multiplying it by pi. You can say, if you say that the area of the circle is 25 times whatever pi is, and the area of the label, the side, is 200 times pi, you can just say that the surface area is, what would 2 circles together be? If one of the circles is 25 times pi, what would 2 circles be? 50 times pi, right? You could say it's 50 times pi plus 200 times pi, or it's 250 times pi. This is okay to answer it like that. That's called an exact answer, where if you don't have a calculator, I'm okay if you put that down. As long as you still say centimeters squared, okay? That's surface area, all right?